Good afternoon, respected dignitaries, esteemed speakers, dear members of the Institute, and professional colleagues. A very warm welcome to all of you today for today's thought-provoking and transformative webinar organized by the Committee for Members in Practice. We are delighted to have you with us for a special program titled Bridging the Mindset Gap from CA to Trusted Advisor, a deserve factor for success. So, not taking much of the time, I would request CA Madhukar Narayan Hirgange sir to take his welcome address. Madhukar sir, over to you.
Thank you, Priyanshu. I don't know whether you can hear me.
I can hear you, sir. We can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. I am in the flight actually to Mangalore for EDD work, and therefore I may not be able to speak much except that welcome to all the professionals. Today you're going to learn a bit on one of the values in life, which is on trust. And if possible, I will join you in the end if I am landing in time. Otherwise, over to Priyanshu. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, sir. So, members, now we move on to the first session of the webinar, which focus on the critical transition that defines the future of our profession, the journey from being a chartered accountant to becoming a trusted advisor. To take us through this journey, we have with us a professional that whose career exemplifies leadership, people-centric thinking, and business partnership at a global level. CA Umesh NV is a seasoned chartered accountant with over 3 decades of experience spanning practice, global shared services, leadership, CFO roles, and advisory positions. He has held senior leadership roles, including Managing Director, Otis Global Services India, Senior Director at EMC, and CFO for large global captive centers, where he built a scaled world class services, class shared service organization across multiple countries, renowned for his expertise in people leadership, innovation, financial stewardships, and business partnering. CA Umesh brings invaluable insights on how CA can move beyond numbers to become strategic enablers of value. This session will help us understand how mindset defines professional relevance, why trust is the new currency of advisory, how attitude, empathy, and leadership creates long-term client relationships. We warmly invite CA Umesh NV to share his insight on from CA to trusted advisor. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, good evening to all the participants, to Priyanshu, to Madhukar, as well as Mehtaji. It's my privilege to be here and share whatever I have learned over the last 3 decades, little over 3 decades of my post-qualification experience. And good evening and a warm welcome to all the chartered accountants who are participating today in this webinar. I first want to, thank you for the time that you're investing today, because the crux of today's discussion would be, why do we need to invest such time in learning and advancing in our career, right? CA is a profession where deadlines are constant and compliance is something that is non-negotiable. Taking time out of that to reflect on how we, prepare ourselves into evolving to be a true advisor to our clients is very, very important. Before I go further, I would like to ask 2 questions. In a profession where we are deeply involved, we have two things. One is our own success. How do you define the success of a chartered accountant? And then secondly, how do we define the success of our client? So there are various measures that are there in terms of success of a chartered accountant. We can measure it in the form of like how many clients we have or how many files we have, how many clients of ours have start to become unicorn, they become too big and we are handling them. Various measures that we can use for measuring the success of ours. But to get there, what are the attitudinal changes that are required within ourselves so that we can serve not only a small and medium enterprise who is a customer to us, but a very big unicorn, which is also a customer to us, right? So for decades, the CA profession has been anchored in technical excellence, which is knowing literally all the regulatory and other requirements very well and showing excellency in that area, accuracy and the trust that has been imposed on us by our clients, the government, and things like that. We have been compliance experts. We are great auditors. We are custodians of the financial discipline that the entire industry and the country has reposed on us. This foundation is very critical. However, we are operating in an environment where the clients require us to do much more than what we are doing today. Also, there is a huge amount of change that is happening around us. Technology is changing, a lot of automation is happening, regulatory changes are happening. Almost every second day there is a new law that is being enacted, the old ones are getting repealed. So ourselves as well as our clients are to be in the know. The informed clients that we have very high expectations from professionals like us. So today our clients are not just merely asking, is my business compliant with all the laws of the country? They're asking more. They're asking much more in terms of how does this decision of mine is going to impact my business in future? Tell me, looking at my numbers, what is in store for me from my business perspective? How do I compare my business to the nearest competitor? Is my am I operating at a cost which is much more than him? How do I stack up, in terms of competing and lasting longer than him in the market? So how can we have our CAs fraternity think more strategically to support our clients? This is the crux of the theme of our discussion today. The mindset shift that we all need to have in terms of towards value creation, to have better business understanding of not only our clients, but various aspects of the same, the business partnership that we need to develop with our clientele, and the thinking that goes into how do we deliver strategic advice to our clientele. Okay. So while we are moving from, a basic compliance activity that we have towards the advisory role that I'm talking about, we are not abandoning compliance at all. To me, audit compliance is basic and it is entry ticket. That is what we all live for. But what differentiates us as a successful chartered accountant is being future ready and also enable success of our clients in this big world. The value creation mindset requires us to deeply understand our client's business model, the industry they are operating in, the dynamics around which they are operating, the kind of revenue drivers they have, what kind of cost structures do they have? Are they, more expensive than their competitors? So how do we make them more competitive and capture more market? And what are the risks that they are actually operating within, which we can help them to manage better? So in order to understand all these things, we just cannot bury ourselves into the reports that are coming to us from our client. We need to be doing more in terms of getting involved in their day-to-day operations, right? So I am talking about being a trusted advisor, business partnership with our client, which is very, very, very important. Being a trusted advisor means a lot, not only to ourselves, but also to our clients in a changing and challenging world that we are operating today. Right? Next, sir. So coming back, you know, I spoke about how do you become a strategic voice that clients depend upon. So this is the need of the hour. This is the need in terms of our clients' expectation. The mindset shifting that we have to do towards value creation, business partnership, and about advisory thinking. So this is the crux of our discussions today, right? Earlier, I think I asked you about the success of the client. I can give you one simple example, right? So you have a client who has been with you for 20 odd years. He's been a small manufacturing company. He's grown from being a small manufacturing company into a small and medium enterprises, um, operating in all over India. The point I'm trying to make here is the CEO who is running this operation is the critical person in this whole operations because the entire weight of the business is on him. Every critical decision that he takes has to go through him. Every file, every fire that he has on a day-to-day basis, firefighting as we call it, is managed by him. At the same time, the customers, the revenue, the finance, literally everything he runs, right? So what happens to such people? They just they just revolve around the same area. They cannot grow. They cannot grow, outbid competition. They may have a great product, but because the way they are structured, they will never be able to grow to a larger organization. Whereas maybe something similar, a slightly more refined product, may be highly successful because business owner, the CEO, will hire the right leaders. He will have a salesperson, a sales leader. He will have an operations leader. He may have a marketing leader. But finance, which is very, very critical and crucial for us, is always looked down upon by many organizations. But having the right finance leader makes a huge difference. The point I'm trying to make is to augment such small and medium enterprises who cannot probably afford a finance leader who can take them to the next level, we can step in. We can step in as in that role so that we will be able to manage and transition into that role as a business partner, basically trying to help him in terms of understanding his business, enabling the growth of his profits, managing his funds better, and creating more value for him, right? So this is the role that I'm talking about. Business partnership is all about that, okay? And in this session, we will also cover why this mind shift is no longer optional for CAs who are in practice. It is not an option. If you are trying to be within the compliance business that you're in, with the business dynamics changing, the fact is that if you don't change, the client will change you, right? It's very important. So what are the practical changes that are required, that enables us to think better, communicate better, and engage highly with our clients at a level where they feel us as part of their management team? So how do we create more value through our advisory roles, along with our current level of work, with ethical and highest possible professional standards that we manage, right? So, I mean, that is the crux of our discussions today. We can go next, Priyanshu, sir. So, again, going back to why is this relevant today? I believe our practice has reached an inflection point because there is a huge transition happening. If we don't provide what we call end-to-end of a client requirement, they will go elsewhere, which means you're losing a great opportunity to be part of that growth that the client is seeing. I want to give you an example of, when we have a client, you believe that he will be with you forever. Yeah, he may be with you forever for the basic work that we are doing, but he may look at other consultants, let's say for raising funds or going public, or even for things that are beyond our capability, which means we are losing a fantastic opportunity, in aligning with his thought process and growing along with him. Secondly, the fast and the critical changes that are happening around us demands us to be proactive rather than reactive. The changes that are happening are so fast, there is hardly any time for us to catch up. It's important that we are always ahead of the curve when it comes to supporting our clients. At the same time, when we are doing all these things, the success of our dependability, success of our association with our client depends on trust, judgment, and our relevance to what he is doing. We have to be relevant to him. We have to be indisposable to him. Yeah, over to next one, sir. I would like to spend a few minutes on the opportunity that is in front of us. While we talk about ourselves moving from being what we call as our basic fiduciary duty to becoming a trusted advisor, there is a huge opportunity in India that we are able to see. I think most of you would know this because you're all great consultants. You have a fabulous amount of experience. But what we see here is the opportunity that Bharat is creating. So we are in the cusp of next generation of growth. Viksit Bharat mission that the government of India has set itself by 2047, a $30 trillion economy. And as you have seen in the last 10 years, there is a tremendous focus on various aspects of job creation, growth, and various industries are being encouraged to set up base in India. Make in India, as you know, is the initiative that is helping a lot of industries to massively expand and support in India. India is the go-to destination for many Fortune 500, or I would say even Fortune 1000 companies. And India has the largest GCC setup in the world. No other country is looked at other than India to set up GCC as of today. As of today, currently over 1900 GCs are operating in India, and by an estimate of a consultancy company that I am part of along with NASCOM, we have released a report where by 2030 this number is expected to grow up to 2,500, employing millions of people directly and indirectly. So the next part is, this is all about getting work from companies from outside India into India. But the biggest change that is happening within India is the startup ecosystem that is coming up in a very big way. You might have seen an advertisement a couple of days ago in the paper where DPIIT, that is the nodal agency for recognizing startups in India, published saying that over 2 lakh startups are operating in India and they have given the approval from their end, which is phenomenal. There is a huge mindset change in Indian population, young population, where youngsters are looking at creating jobs than becoming employees. There was a time, when I started my career, every person wanted to be a software engineer. They wanted to work for multinational companies and then go abroad, serve and things like that. But today, youngsters are looking at doing something in India. They have great ideas. You must have seen the number of unicorns young Indians who are less than 40 years old have created. Some of the biggest unicorns are in India today. This clearly demonstrates the opportunity that is available for us in the profession to participate in the growth of our economy as partners and also enable the achievement of the goal that Government of India set itself through the Viksit Bharat vision. Thank you. Next one. At the same time, while I'm talking about the opportunity, we generally do in our corporate world a SWOT analysis. I'm not going to talk about the S and the T. I'm only talking about opportunity, under threat. The reason is very simple. While there is a huge opportunity, the current geopolitical environment is really challenging. Future proofing of a CA in terms of the challenges and the changes that are happening around world, I would like to compare it with a terminology used called VUCA, which is basically volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. The world is seeing today a VUCA environment where you're seeing different regional issues. It could be an European issue between Ukraine and Russia. There is a lot of things going on in the Middle East. America has its own problem. India has problems around the neighborhood. In spite of all this, India is growing at the rate of 7.5%, year on year. This year we were very close to 7.5%, which means the impetus that the government is giving, the support that this government is giving, is working truly towards the real growth that we are looking at. So, VUCA world is definitely going to change. For example, if you have a client who is an exporter to the United States, and because the United States imposed a 50% tariff on the goods that is supporting, if the 90 to 100% of his exports are to the United States, your client is in serious problem. How do you step in? How do you get in and help him to come out of this severity of business disruption that he's facing, right? That's one of the impact of the VUCA world that we are living. In our own case, the impact of VUCA world beyond the complexities and the other volatile nature that I talked about is technology disruption, AI, automation. How is it disrupting the current practices? How is it disrupting what we do today to a level which is different in the future? Commoditization of compliance, in the past, I remember, if you want to file sales tax returns, anything like that, we used to have huge amount of files that used to come to our office, and then we used to help the client file the returns. But today, at the click of a button, because of the way it has been automated, it happens. They don't need our advice at all. The client themselves manage the GST return to a large extent. Of course, there is far more things that we do on that front, but I'm making it very simple. So the expectation of our client from being an accountant to a trusted business partner has only grown bigger and bigger because of all these challenges that we are seeing. The succession of the partnership, scalability of our relationship, and relevance to small and medium-sized enterprises that we use is become even more important. I want to give you an example here. In our practice, for example, we have a lot of GCCs that we support. When they come in, they would like to focus on their core business. They would like to focus on what they believe they can do very well. So they rely on you to provide, all the other services that are required. Definitely a great opportunity because you can practically run their entire finance operations. You can run their facilities. You can run everything that they need. But what happens is, how do you succeed? How do you keep this relationship for a longer time? Because once they grow, they believe they can do it themselves. The stickiness of your client depends on what service you're giving. The stickiness of the client depends upon how we manage our clientele from a perspective of longevity, right? So, in order to achieve all these things, we need a complete shift in mindset to value creation. Okay, when you have a conversation with the CFO of the organization, he always looked at, I know how my business is running. Tell me what else I can do. Tell me what else we can do to expand what we are doing. Based on many clients that we have, and if you continue to engage with your clients in a value creation basis, there is a huge amount of inputs that you can learn from one client and obviously use it on another to enable them to grow much faster than what they're doing today. So providing the advisory services to make the clients feel and see the true value that we create to them is a huge success factor that we have to keep in mind, right? So coming back to the last point, in the yucca world, success depends upon continuous learning. You have to be constantly learning. You have to be constantly looking around for the changes that are happening around you. A very strong professional judgment is required. The mindset has to change from a complier to an advisory person. Of course, ethical leadership and ability to quickly adapt to changes are key to our success, right? Thank you. Next one, sir. So, in this process, how do we evolve into a trusted advisor? I had a few thoughts around this, which I've penned down here. So, becoming a trusted advisor in a business while making decisions versus just being an expert in law and taxation. What are the pitfalls of these two things? So an advisor understands the client's business better than just numbers. So if you go to a client and if he gives you his financials, if you are just someone who is operating the way we are doing in terms of compliance, say, okay, the files have come. In the past, we used to say that we have reviewed it, we have signed it, we have filed it, matter is closed. But a sharp ability to understand what is going on will help us to advise our client saying, hey, you seem to be heading into an issue in terms of your cash flow. The risk in this vertical of business that you have seem to be growing large, and you need to watch out and plan accordingly. You can be part of that strategic decision making process with your client that will help you to manage his business better, and that's where a true value add comes to the client. And also, based on our understanding of the economy, various legislations, the risk appetite that the client can manage can be better managed by our inputs to him, because we know better than him, because he is more focused on his business, whereas we have ability to grasp things far more than what he knows, and we can give that input to him to manage his risks better. Okay, so how can we proactively sense a situation and also provide him a solution? That's very, very important. The crux is here: how can we be ahead of the curve in terms of enabling our client, a customer, to be fully prepared to face the world which is full of challenges and changes today? Let's move beyond just reporting numbers to enabling decisions to our clients. The numbers are there in front of you. We just need to ensure that those numbers are reviewed, and then we tell the client exactly what is right and what is wrong with the numbers. That helps him to grow his business. Next one. Move on to the next one, sir. Right. So the biggest again, going back to the crux in the beginning that we spoke about, changing the mindset, right? From being what we are today as a chartered accountant in practice to a true advisor to our client. How do we change our thinking process? We call ourselves experts in taxation, experts in law, experts in Companies Act, GST, whatever, right? We need to move on from there. The mindset change that is required is from I know everything to what value can I give you? How can I increase your value? How can I make your business run better? That's the change that we need to see. We need to move from executing tasks, the monthly returns, the quarterly returns, the annual returns, those kind of things that we are doing today, to participating, enabling, and owning and growing the outcomes for our customers. You should look at moving on from a short-term engagements, which are time-bound. I filed, okay, June, I'm extremely busy. I can't do anything else because I have to file 1,000 returns to various customers that I have. That is what I call as a short-term engagement. How do we move from there to becoming long-term partners, building long-term relationships with our clients, which will not only grow yourself but enable the client's growth, right? So the fixed mindset that we have to change. If we don't change, it becomes a real challenge. We need to move ahead from the comfort zone that we are living today to learning new things. We have to jump in to see how it will enable our change. Okay, don't be too busy with your routine work, even if it is consuming all your time. I want to give you many people may not even like it, but I want to give this example. So many beautiful sessions, seminars are conducted by our institute. I see a lot of people registering for it, but when you see many people come there because they need to get enough credit. But I believe a lot of people don't even sit through all the sessions where invaluable amount of information is shared. That's purely because we are too busy. We are too busy with our routine work. It's consuming all our time, and we don't set aside enough time for our self development that is going to help us to understand what is happening in the market, what is happening in the world. That helps our client. Okay, we need to allocate more time to ourselves, self introspect and allocate and ensure that we develop much faster than it is required for enabling our client to grow. We need to invest in ourselves. I would say rest will follow automatically. Thank you. Next one. So again, focusing on the right attitude that we need to have, that becomes the differentiator to what we are today, to what it is going to be in future. So when you have a lot of data sitting in front of you, right? There is a complacency that sets in, saying, I know it all. The data is in front of me, so I need to ensure that this data is correctly assimilated and filed. But at the same time, this complacency leads to, why should I worry about what client is doing? Why should I worry about um, why should I even worry about his business? It's none of my business. My business is to file the returns and be done with it, right? So, is this what we need to do? I think there is a huge amount of change in attitude that we need to have in order to progress to the next level, right? So, we need to take accountability instead of giving excuses. It is quite possible that we have done a wrong filing or our representation was wrong, but we may not take accountability for that. We may be giving excuses for that. So there is a huge mind shift change that is required in order to ensure that the success is properly communicated versus taking the accountability and managing it better. There is a continuous learning mindset that is required, and forget the past glory. You may say that I have reached a pinnacle of success in understanding the tax and other regulatory issues. But what is required is continuous learning mindset that is impossible to manage, right? So develop courage or face unpleasant and uncomfortable truths and give honest views. Very, very important. So what's the impact of right attitude? It attracts quality clients. It helps build strong and aligned teams. Good talent means great opportunity for us and enabling sustainable and scalable growth. So can we move on to the next one, sir? I would like to also point about some of the attitudinal changes that helps us to grow. I have, broken this into three parts. One is, what is the attitude change that we need towards our clients? What kind of attitude change that we need in terms of the work we do, the innovation that we need to adopt, the learning and the quality of work that we have to develop, and the change that is required towards the change around us, including the change in the technology and the environment that we live in. In terms of clients, let us not treat our clients as files. There is this joke that I was talking about some time back, where in GCC, many of us talk about how big is your organization. Immediately they'll say, "Oh, it's a 500 people organization. It's a 1,000 people organization. I am the CFO of 7,000 people organization." I think that change has gone, because today people are talking about what GCC can do in terms of creating value as a center. It's not the people, number of people that is measured as success for a GCC. Similarly, in our profession, when you talk about success, we say, I have 5,000 clients or 5,000 files. So let's stop treating them as files. Let's start, treating them as partners in our progress. Let's start listening to their business. Let's understand what they're doing, how are they doing, how can they do better, and help them with growth strategies that we can provide because of the complex nature we live in and the kind of information that we have access to. Let's simplify their problem. Let's not make it complex. When somebody comes to you for a solution because they are facing a problem, let's not make it big. Let's provide a simple solution so that they can go back and face and probably spend more time in the business than worry about this problem, that we can handle it better. In terms of attitude towards work, let's, based on what we have, let's deliver insight and not just information. Let's deliver quality work that enhances our relationship, and the true feeling of relationship by enhancing risk management. That's very, very important, because in the VUCA world that we talked about, there are so many risks associated with business today. Only help that comes from us can help them to manage this better. The tough environment they operate in can be really managed well with the kind of support that we can provide. So finally, the attitude towards change and technology. I've seen a lot of senior professionals. I one of the sessions that I attended recently, one of the CAs talked about that he completed at the age of 60. He completed an AI course that the institute has started. Fantastic. If he is very successful, he has a very large practice, he knows what is going on, he is in full control, but he's still going through this AI course purely because it's going to help his clients. It's going to help his understanding of what is going on around. So it should be seen as an opportunity, not as a disruption, because understanding AI better will help us to manage our clientele requirement far, far superior and much better, right? We need to adopt quickly to the newer tech enabled environment before even the client comes and tells you. Again, going back to the GCC world that I live in, the consulting that we provide, we have 20 different customers using 20 different systems. And when we provide them the finance services, we need to know what are those systems, how can we integrate them to our systems and provide them a seamless experience that makes our service world class, right? If you don't have that, there is a serious problem. You cannot tell the client saying, hey, I don't have this ERP environment. If I don't have this ERP integration capability, they will say, I'm sorry, I'm not going to give you this work. So we need to be a step ahead to saying that, yes, we can integrate, we can operate, we can provide you the kind of service that will be world class, right? We have to continuously unlearn, relearn, and lead from the front. That is very, very critical and important, right? So there is a process called reverse mentoring that we use in the corporate world, where someone like an executive director actually spends time with an intern who's come out of IIT or from IMB, and learns some of the nuances of the latest technologies, or it could be anything, because the kids are far more aware, self-aware than us, because we are living in a world which is within ourselves. So the reverse mentoring process, in my view, helps us significantly to achieve some of the goals that you can do much better. Next one, please. So, with that, I think, the crux of our discussion today is basically how do we move forward from where we are today to the next level. One of the thing is CA qualification gives us entry. It gives us the entry to provide services to our clients. But right attitude gives us longevity and growth. We will remain. The stickiness with the client will remain forever because of the kind of attitude that we show. The knowledge that we have earns us fees, but trust earns us continuity. We will be forever their advisors, right? So we should look at every engagement as a trust and a relationship building opportunity, not as a one-time single, engagement which gets us the kind of money that we are looking at, right? So I have a couple of quotes here which says basically the one who gets there need not always be smartest or the luckiest, but those who can see what is in front of us clearly, where they are, where they are going, what is the way that they need to take to go there to achieve their goals are the ones who succeed in life. Self awareness is most important, and working towards our professional goals and standing should be key to our success, right? Lastly, I would like to say a client may not remember the section we quoted, but surely will remember clarity and confidence we infused into their business that helped them to grow and also have a lasting relationship with us. With that, I am completing my session.
Thank you, Umesh sir, for those powerful insights that reminded us that technical competence opens doors, but trust builds legacy.
Absolutely.
Uh, as we move into the next session, we shift our focus from what we do to how we think, because mindset and attitude ultimately determine how far our competence can take us.
Correct. Thank you.
Yes. We would, I would like to share that today we have got around more than 1,700 participants who have joined this webinar, and we move on to our next speaker. So the next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, is uniquely positioned to inspire professionals having experienced that profession from multiple vantage points: practice, public service, entrepreneurship, governance, and leadership. CA DB Mehta began his career briefly in practice under relationship with CA Bansi Mehta ji before answering the call of public service through the UPSC, where he served as an officer of Indian Revenue Services, indirect taxes, for a decade, gaining deep insights into administration and policy. DB Mehta sir, I would request if you can switch on your video and your mic, please. Thereafter, his entrepreneurial journey expanded across construction and real estate, financial investments, alternative energy, and automobile dealerships. He has also served as a director of Interconnected Stock Exchange of India and is a two-term independent director of Mangaluru Smart City Limited. Currently, he is the president elected of Credai Karnataka, contributing actively to policy, governance, and industry leadership. A familiar face of business television and digital platforms such as Business Tonic and NRI Clinic, and a keynote speaker to prestigious forums including ET Now, Enclaves. CM Mehta is also a respected resource person for architectural, engineering, and management institutions. With this rare blend of professional depth, administrative experience, and entrepreneurial wisdom, CADB Mehta will speak on how attitude, more than aptitude becomes the decisive factor for long-term success. We are honored to invite CA DB Mehtaji to address her. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Priyanshu, for that wonderful description of my whole career, in a way. And uh, I'm absolutely privileged to be a co-speaker along with Mr. Umesh. And my gratitude to Mr. Madhukar Hiregange for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts. Talking about Mr. Madhukar Hiregange, he had appeared before me in the year 1994 when I was heading a division in the Central Excise Department. And I still remember I was pretty impressed with the way he had presented the case for his client. And when I was discussing this particular issue with my wife, who was also in the Indian Revenue Service indirect taxes, she also mentioned that Mr. Madhukar Hiregange had appeared before her also, where she was heading Division 5. And she remembered very clearly that the way he presented his client's case was pretty impressive. So, knowing him, and when you asked me to come and speak on this particular subject, I readily agreed. And I would now share my presentation. Can you open this first? Yeah. Now, the topic I am going to speak on is bridging the mindset gap. The right attitude, a key factor for personal achievement and success. I'm going to speak more from this self-improvement perspective and how it helps you to deal with the given situation, whether you are in practice or you are in a job or you are in business. I won't be going too much into the technicalities of the client relationship, but more into the mind game. Now, let's start understanding and unraveling what we mean by mind. Mind is a combination of intellect and emotions. The way we look at the whole concept is from the viewpoint of the interplay of emotions and intellect. There emerges a conflict. Now let's go to the second word, which is the part of this particular topic, is the mindset. What do we understand by mindset? Mindset is a person's established set of attitudes, beliefs, and the way of thinking that influences their interpretation of situations and behavior. Mindset basically means lived experiences gathered over a lifetime of an individual. Now, when we talk about mindset, it means over the years, we have gathered a particular way of thinking, a particular way of reacting to situations, and a way of thought processes we develop, which becomes rigid and fixed in our way of approaching and looking at things. Now, how do we bridge the mindset gap? The bridging of the mindset gap is narrowing the distances between your current mindset and your desired reality or goals, where you want to be and where you are restricted or limited because of your mindset. By shifting from fixed, negative, or limiting perspective to a growth mindset by taking small, consistent actions and reframing challenges to opportunities to build self-belief and prove your capabilities, to rise to your potential. We all have this issue. We hear this comment very often that we have tremendous potential, but we are underperforming. So how to bridge that gap? How to change the limiting factors which are inbuilt due to our emotions and past experiences in our mind? How to overcome the habits which we have gathered due to tradition, customs, family, the region, the way of life, and all those habits which we have. How do we overcome those and turn these limiting factors into aspirations and growth? So this is basically the whole viewpoint that I am going to take you. Now, the way I want to take you through the bridging the mindset gap is taking you through my personal journey, my own experiences, and how I have dealt with at each point in time. I don't mean to say that every time I have been successful, but I am only selecting the successful episodes to a certain extent to highlight and to have a takeaway for the participants. We all have a lot of opportunities, lot of chances. We keep asking this question: should I take this opportunity or not? I have always asked this question: what do I lose if I take an opportunity? You lose nothing much. And that's how my journey of becoming even a chartered accountant started. Just to appear for the foundation course exam, I think it was the year 1983, when I had just completed my 12th standard and I was in the first year college. I could see some people, some students appearing for CA. I had no such idea that I should become a chartered accountant. It was not a goal of mine at that point in time. But having come to know, I put this question forth before myself: what do I lose? Let me do it. It's a great career, great opportunity, great prospects. And that's how my journey as a chartered accountant started. Next, you come across this, many a times in your career, in your life, am I too young to speak up, especially, in the corporate hierarchy or even as a student? This question keeps up. Should I remain, quiet, or should I speak up? Or am I, shooting off a little too early? I'll give you an example. I was sent for a bank audit where I was working as an article clerk. I would not name the bank. There was a tremendous fraud that during the course of audit that was discovered by me and my team. And it was a big challenge for me to take it to the boss where I was doing my articleship, a chartered accountant firm, that should this be taken up or not. And I had enough self-belief, enough courage, and I brought it to his notice. And finally, it came in the audit report of the bank. And later on, economic offense wing, case was instituted against that particular bank. So it's never too young, or you're never too young or old to speak up when you have self-belief, when you have your own conviction that yes, what you are doing is right. The next point: drawing the right inspiration and rising to the challenge. When I was practicing as a chartered accountant, I was interacting with the assistant commissioner of income tax and the ITO officers and others. And, just in the course of conversation with a particular assistant commissioner, he mentioned that, UPSC is the most challenging exam in our country. And passing the UPSC is even more difficult than passing the chartered accountants exam. Now, I looked at the whole thing as a challenge thrown at me. Being a CA, I thought that I had passed the most difficult exam in our country. Now someone is telling me, no, UPSC is even more difficult. And I picked up that challenge because I felt it might be a self-improvement from where I am. And that's how I became a bureaucrat. You will keep getting these challenges all you throughout your career, to pick these challenges can change your career dramatically. Don't just leave it as a point of conversation. If you see an opportunity, because challenge is always an opportunity. If you see an opportunity, pick up your challenge and work towards it. It may help you to improve your own career if enough hard work is added to the challenge. The next, leveraging skill sets. When we are functioning in any environment, we have a particular skill sets with us. Whether you're a chartered accountant or whether you have multiple degrees or whatever. Given a particular task, if you rise to the occasion with the skill sets, you can do wonders. I'll give you one example on this as well. When I was working in the Central Excise Department, I was given the charge of audit, valuations, and classification cell. This particular cell was earlier treated as kind of a post-mortem job because the valuations and classifications which are approved by the division would come to this particular cell. When I leveraged my skill sets to this particular set of job I had to do, I found it's a mind-blowing kind of a situation where so many mistakes were committed by the field officers, which simply went unnoticed. And these mistakes caused tremendous loss of revenue to the government. Using my skill sets of a chartered accountant, I could really point out those mistakes and we could recover a tremendous loss of revenue which were there in those documents, and the correct revenue was done, correct classification was done, correct pricing was done. So what I'm trying to tell you here is, whatever skill sets you have, if you apply them, you can definitely rise to the occasion and go beyond your own expectations. Many a times we come to a situation where you feel that you are saturated in this particular area of work. May it be the routine work many chartered accountants do of income tax or audit. They may feel that. Or chartered accountants who are in employment with some corporate, they may feel that at some point in time. If you feel that you are saturated in a particular place, you should have enough courage, enough foresight to walk out and come into even an uncertain world. And exactly that's what I did. After 10 years of my career in the indirect taxes, I felt that I am getting saturated in the work. Life in the department from there on will be more administrative rather than field work. I felt I could contribute much more to the economy, to the nation by being outside rather than being inside the department. And that's the call I took. And that's how I became an entrepreneur. What I'm trying to convey by giving these examples is, we all come across these situations. The difference between understanding the situation and achieving your goals is the action, the steps you need to take. You don't take those steps because of your mindset, because of the fear you have, because of the risk awareness you have, or the uncertainty you do not want to get in. you are restricting and limiting your personal growth. Whenever such situations come and you are convinced that this situation is saturated for you and you can move on to other things, take that plunge. You should always look at your own aptitude, own abilities, believe in them, and you will be better off. After having resigned from the service to explore my entrepreneur skills, I decided to settle down not in a large city, a metro city, but in a small city. I felt the opportunities are more in a smaller city than in a large city. What I'm trying to convey by this is there's a general perception amongst everybody that large city offers better opportunity. You need not be clued on to such perceptions. You should be prepared to bridge that mindset gap and look at the challenges which you want to take on and convert them into opportunities which a tier 2 city at that point in time offered me the best. Over a period of time, when we are experienced in our field of work, when we have worked for enough number of decades, somewhere down the line, earlier than later, we should realize, are we the net taker or the net giver to the society? Doing work, helping your clients in the course of your duty or a job does not make you a net giver. What makes you a net giver is stepping outside the role which you have envisaged for yourself as a practicing chartered accountant or working in some corporate, going beyond that and becoming part of either the institute where you want to give more through training students or giving lectures or helping the society through various organizations or so and so forth, or becoming part of the policy making. I have been associated with so many such organizations right from the year I left bureaucracy. I was the president of Canara Builders Association without even starting my own construction firm, because they wanted me to help them to devise the policy. And I readily accepted. I was the president of Mangalore Stock Exchange for 5 years. And again, the purpose was the same, to help them to set up the proper exchange, proper trading norms, to comply with SEBI laws, and so on and so forth. What I'm trying to convey here is move out of your regular job demands on your time and devote your time, give your intellect to help the society at large and become a net giver. In all our work environment, we create our own comfort zone. And we are very happy working within the boundaries of that comfort zone. I'll take you through the comfort zone concept through my own personal experiences. I wanted to build a house. And when I started the process of how to build a house for yourself, how to hire a contractor, the architect, what permissions you should get, and thinking out of the box, I felt that if I build a house, it's no different than from putting up a building. And that's how I became a developer. And instead of building just one house, I put up multiple apartments and kept one of the penthouses for myself. So this is the way you think out of the box. You want to build a house, you have to go through the processes. You look at that as an opportunity and you become a developer. As a developer, when I was looking at tax planning and when I was talking to the chartered accountant of my own company, he gave me a suggestion of investment in wind energy development. Those days, there was 80% accelerated depreciation for investment in the wind power. For me, it would have been a very simple thing to do. Invest in the wind power, take the depreciation, save tax. But again, I thought it's better to think out of the box. Can this be a business opportunity? And I felt that was the right time to enter renewable energy. This was in the year 2006. And renewable energy became a part of our business vertical. And today we are into the business of wind energy as well. So thinking out of the box can open up many more opportunities. Take the slide. Next slide, please. Yeah. The significance of attitude for personal and organizational growth. The anomaly of diverse performance outcomes given an identical qualification, comparable experience, and equivalent opportunities. Two chartered accountants or two professionals from any field with equal qualification, good experience, and equivalent opportunities. Why the success achieved by one is different from success achieved by the next. And that's what brings us to again to understand that the differentiator is the attitude. The individual who still continues working with the fixed attitude keeps limiting himself in the growth trajectory. Whereas an individual who understands how to bridge the mindset gap, he starts on that journey step by step, overcoming all the limiting factors, understanding how emotions shackles his thought processes and sits on top of his emotions, understands what are the limitations of a particular way of thinking, overcomes them, and he becomes more successful. If you are on top of your attitude, you will be able to have differentiator in not only in your work, but the way you have grown and your organization has grown. Mindset is a complex interplay of individual thought process. What is our individual thought process? It's our conscious mind. We all know we have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. conscious mind is in the current. It's your thought process is as it is happening. That's your conscious mind. How do you delve into your subconscious mind? And what is there in your subconscious mind which interacts and interplays with your conscious mind? And how it becomes a limiting factor if you are not equipped with the tools to convert the subconscious mind experiences into a positive experience. Your subconscious mind is nothing but a legacy of previous lived experiences. These experiences can come through your family background, through your culture, through your tradition, through your religion, through the place where you are living, through the schools or colleges you have gone to, or the places where you have worked, or the organizations you have worked. A subconscious mind gets attracted towards negative emotions. We all know negative emotions are deeper than positive emotions. To give an example, if you are seriously injured and you have experienced severe pain, the severe pain will become part of your subconscious mind. And you will remember this incident even after a couple of decades. But if you had a very good dinner somewhere and you had a positive experience, you will forget about that positive experience after maybe a few weeks or maybe a few months. Because positive experiences do not have that in-depth connect with your emotions and they remain superficial. The only way the gap can be bridged between the subconscious mind and conscious mind is to convert your negative experiences to positive experience. So like it's a human nature, as we call it. Our first response to any given situation is in the negative if you are not in the control of your emotions. You have intellect, but intellect, when it interplays with emotions, it reacts differently. If a difficult task is given to you, most would respond, I won't be able to do it. Or the time given is too short, I need more time. That's the negative impulse. And that will be your first reaction. How do you make your first reaction a positive reaction? Let me try. Let me take this challenge up. I will be able to do it. That should be your first response in any given situation. To convert all your negative experiences which has gone into subconscious mind, how do we make it possible for positive influences, positive experiences to be part of your subconscious mind? And that's how you will bridge the gap. And this takes meticulous, step by step, over a period of time, putting thought processes into action, being very aware of how your emotions are interplaying with your ability, how your emotions are taking you to a wrong direction. We all understand some basic human emotions. Fear is one such emotion. Fear always sits in our subconscious mind. The first reaction for anything you do which you have not done before is the fear. whether it's an adventure sport, or whether it is a new business opportunity, or whether it is changing jobs. The first emotions that would come would be fear. Will I do it? Will I be able to do it? Will I be successful? How to convert that fear into readiness, acceptability, that calls for understanding the mind. When the fear impulse comes to you, you will notice the change in your body. You will notice your heartbeats going up. You will notice your breathing increasing. If there's a self-awareness of your heartbeat and your breathing, you will immediately know that fear is overtaking your intellect. And if you are able to bring in through the tools which are available, which I'm not going to get into right now, like meditation or yoga or exercise, and so many tools are available, you'll be able to immediately bring those emotions under control. The second very raw emotion which comes to all of us is anger. If you are in a situation which you perceive as not as you expected or as not as you wanted it to be, immediately anger comes as part of your emotional reaction. And once you are angry, your intellect gets overshadowed by the emotion of anger. Your thought processes gets clouded. And when you take any decision in the negative emotions of fear or anger, the possibility of being wrong is very, very high. So how do you take a decision when you are gripped by negative emotions? Any decision that's taken when you are in the positive framework, in the positive mind, you will be able to analyze the situation very carefully. You will be able to do this SWOT analysis and understand where you stand and what decision you should take. The confusion in your mind will be converted into clarity. So controlling your subconscious mind is the most important aspect of bridging the gap and training yourself to cultivate the right attitudes. The right attitude, what you need for any successful outcome, is my next slide in the presentation. We are having certain existing fixed limiting emotions and thought processes. And over a period of time, if we are able to come to terms to handle these negative emotions and convert them into positive emotions, you will truly experience not only peace of mind, but success. Success comes through right decisions. The negative emotions leads to procrastination also. You will keep deferring your decisions. But if you're in a positive frame of mind, what you need to do tomorrow, you will do today, and what you need to do today, you will do now. So I'll take you through what are the existing thought processes in your subconscious mind, which are negative. Negative thought process, how do you convert it to positive thought process? We have gone through that. Averse to challenges and leadership. How do you convert that and embrace challenge and leadership roles? Many such opportunities came in my life where the society at large and the trade and businesses where I was involved, they wanted me to take up leadership roles. I had two options, to say no or to say yes. I preferred saying yes because that was my first reaction. Because over the years and over the period of time, I have self-trained myself to control my emotions, to convert negative thought processes, which is normally the first reaction, into the positive thought processes. Be aware of the mind. Be always in self-awareness. And to understand the leadership roles, not from what I can gain from it, but what I can give to that particular organization or to the society or to the nation at large. Just to take you through these leadership roles, as I have mentioned earlier, I have been a two-term Canara Builders Association president. I have been a two-term CREDI president of the Mangalore City chapter. Now I am the CREDI president president-elect of Karnataka State. I have been 2 terms independent director of Mangaluru Smart City Limited. I have been 2 terms director of the Interconnected Stock Exchange. I have been on the governing council of Nirmiti Kendra, which is an organization run by the government and private partnership to improve upon and to innovate and develop low-cost construction methods and products. I have been a founding member of Coastal Karnataka Tourism Development Council. I have been on the board of studies of a couple of civil engineering and management colleges to help them to devise or frame an appropriate curriculum as it's required by the challenges of the time. I have been a 2-term president of India Green Building Council for the Mangalore chapter. Environment and sustainable development was always very close to my thought processes because that's the positive way of development. I have been appointed by the state government on a committee to devise the policy and implement the policy on transferable development rights in Karnataka. And I'm glad to say that for the last few years, the TDR policy is working very effectively in the state. So when leadership challenges come to you, look at it not from the viewpoint what I can gain out of it, but what others can gain out of your leadership qualities. The subconscious mind will always push you to work within your comfort zone. The trained mind will always make you to look for opportunities to work in newer areas. It will take you out of your comfort zone, but every challenge you will be equipped to convert to opportunities. Now, from my diverse business interest, you would have noticed that I have businesses in investments, I have businesses in construction and real estate, in renewable energy, and in automobile dealership, and maybe more to come. I always look for an opportunity to move out of my comfort zone and look at new challenges and new business opportunities. Same goes for all chartered accountants. You can have different kind of client-based services. Those who are in working for different organizations, say like Mr. Umesh, he is in a very elite position where he is guiding GCCs to establish the centers in India. It's not easy. There's a plethora of laws, both financials and other than financials, legal and labor codes to be looked into. And the guidance and the consultancy given to such organizations has helped India to establish almost 2,500 GCCs, and Bangalore is the biggest beneficiary. The untrained mind, the subconscious mind, will always be timid, fearful. It will be always over-analyzing. What if I am doing the wrong thing? What if what I am doing is erroneous? What happens if this doesn't work out? How to have self-belief in your actions, in your thought processes. Through the self-belief only, and only through self-belief, you will be confident. You will be sure of the things you are doing are in the right direction. And you won't be fearful of making mistakes or going wrong. Every businessman goes through this process on a day-to-day basis. And he needs a calm mind. Many train their minds without making a conscious effort to train their minds. But some may need that conscious efforts, where their emotions are not under their control. So confident mind is always a well-trained mind, whether it's self-taught or you use some tools to train yourself. The negative emotions or an untrained mind, when things go wrong, will not own up the responsibility. It will always attribute mistakes to external factors. An untrained mind, understanding that there's no lack of ability, there is no lack of intellect. The person has done all that he could do through his intellect. He has done all the analysis, gone through all the variables and various other factors, and has come to a decision. But the differentiating factor is when the decision was taken, whether he was in his calm mind, whether he was in his positive framework of mind. Just by attributing mistakes to external factors, you will be limiting your learning from your own mistakes because you already blamed somebody else. You're not blamed yourself. You're not owned up the responsibility. Only if you own up the responsibility, you will be able to learn from your mistakes and you will not be repeating those mistakes. And that will help you to chart out your growth. You will be successful the next time. The comfort zone will always put you into being one amongst the crowd. You don't want to stand out. You don't want to be tested to the challenges the world is throwing at you. So like Mr. Umesh, the previous speaker, mentioned about so many challenges. There's tremendous disruption in businesses due to the global economic situation, the geopolitical situation. The AI automation is also going to throw up a lot of disruptions. These disruptions are going to put tremendous pressure on each individual to keep their negative thought processes, the subconscious mind, which has negative way of looking at things, under control. Only when you understand the situation well, you can use the disruptions to your advantage. And you will strive to excel and stand out amidst your own peers. An untrained mind will always fear making errors, will always look at criticism as a personal attack, and on failure will exit the task. But a person with the right attitude, the trained mind, will always look at error as an opportunity for self-correction, criticism as a chance to improve, failure as a chance and an opportunity to learn from mistakes and rise again. We all have experienced this either at individual level, at in an organizational level, that I know it all, I did it all. The minute you start thinking from the perspective of you know it all and you have done it all, you close the doors for future learning. Your mind, your subconscious mind has already accepted that you don't need to learn any further. But the right attitude should be, yes, I am willing to listen at all times. Listening is not only what is spoken, but listening also means listen to what is not spoken. I have personally experienced with my chartered accountant when I have to deal with some taxation issues. He is able to understand what I have not spoken also. And is always willing to give me advice and guide me where, for whatever reason, what is not spoken is very important. So like I'll give an example. When we have, say like income tax payment coming up because you have income. Now you may not be aware as a business person of all the benefits or all the planning you can do to save your taxes. Even today, there are so many ways and means under the law, under the ambit of law, where tax planning can be done. If your chartered accountant restricts his role only to file your return, but not to guide you, not to help you to plan your taxes, then the CA is also limiting his services. And as a businessman, you may end up paying more taxes. I had given you an example of investments in wind energy that came from a chartered accountant. He suggested that why are you going to pay so much of taxes? Why don't you look at investment in wind power? As I am in the business of real estate, there are ways and means to save your capital gain tax as well. And in the past, he has advised us without even my asking him. He has gone beyond his scope of work, where just by listening or just by the seeing of accounts, he understood that he should give me more advice. And that's the way it should be, willing to listen. Not only about spoken words, not only about seeing the figures, but what needs to be done next, how you can help your client to plan his taxes properly. Communication is the key and the most important aptitude and attitude you should have. If you fail to communicate properly, so like when I was in the government and I was in the position of adjudication, where indirect taxes cases were being heard by me, I used to always differentiate from a great chartered accountant who argued well and a chartered accountant who didn't argue well, because of the communication skills. I have seen very senior chartered accountants giving plethora of arguments and filing their arguments and other documents running into hundreds and hundreds of pages. Now, as a quasi-judicial officer at that point in time, what impressed me the most was crisp couple of points on a matter of law. Why should I pass an order in your favor? Because if you give too many data and too many points of views, even the quasi-judicial officer will miss the crucial point by which he can give a favorable judgment. So communication is key to success. Next slide. Controlling emotions, a big game changer. I have gone through these issues through various examples. I'll take you through this once again. Intellect plus control emotions equal to right decisions. You will be able to take right decisions only when your emotions are controlled. Your mind will start racing away. Negative emotions will come to the fore. And complex decisions when you have to take, if you have control emotions with necessary intellect, your decisions will normally be right. Right decisions plus strong attitude will give you growth outcomes. Strong attitude will come from your past experiences, the step-by-step processes you have undergone to do positive things, to be in the positive frame of mind. You will definitely experience tremendous growth outcomes. Growth outcomes, whenever you're growing, your revenue is growing, your businesses are growing, or if you're practicing, say your clients are growing, you have more and more clients. When you add leadership to that, success will be definitely yours. When you are successful, slowly ego starts showing its face. Ego is a very negative emotion if it is used the wrong way. The only way to reach self-actualization is success minus ego. You have to delete your ego at all times. You might have reached the pinnacle of growth. You may be one of the 10 biggest practicing chartered accountant firms in India. If you are able to bring ego under your control and you understand what ego means, you will be reaching self-actualization. Otherwise, you will be very successful, but you will never be reaching self-actualization. If ego becomes your main characteristic. Next slide. Up to now, we have been talking about the self, the personal development, the improvement of one's own self in terms of introspection, belief, and improvement. But how do you take it to your workplace? Cultivate discipline. Discipline does not come automatic. Discipline, again, is a very positive emotion. And not to have discipline is a negative emotion. Our subconscious mind will always take us in the direction of not to be disciplined. If you are able to cultivate discipline and you are leading your organization by example, that will percolate down to all your team members. If you are not afraid to think out of the box, slowly you will realize your team members, the people who are your colleagues in your workplace, they will also start doing the same. A lot of solutions to complex problems come only by thinking out of the box. We face this situation in our construction industry on a regular basis. And we appreciate and we allow our site engineers to start thinking out of the box to find a solution. And that's how we make our buildings safer and stronger. Overcome real or imagined limitations with conscious effort. Mind plays tricks all the time. It will throw situations at you which may not exist. Mind may try to confuse you all the time. Mind is a challenge to your ability. The emotions will come in such a way that your ability gets diminished by too many negative thought processes. How to identify that the thoughts you have are imagined limitations? And how do you make a conscious effort to overcome those, to negate those? We have all understood the negative impact of overanalyzing. Overanalyzing happens when your mind has these imagined limitations. It's a very conscious effort to remove the sharp from the grains. And once you are apt at it, you will not be limited by overanalyzing. Analyzing is part of any decision making. Understanding the given situation with whatever analytical tools you have is part of right decision making. But in the process, you will have to identify what are the imagined limitations, what are the imagined fears. And as you practice this over a period of time, you will be able to take the right decisions, and that too very quickly. Don't be afraid to step out of the crowd for a workable conviction. Always encourage your colleagues, your staff members to come forward. And if they are convinced and if you motivate them, they'll come out with solutions, they'll speak up. And if you give an impression to others in your workplace that you know it all and you don't value the opinions or the suggestions expressed by your team, they will stop coming forward. And you may miss out a very valuable suggestion or a very, very valuable opinion, and you may end up making a mistake. When we are all under pressure, we become impatient. Over a period of time, many have gone through the health issues like hypertension. How to traverse through this pressure system which is there in workplaces. It's a very important aspect in bridging the mindset gap. How to achieve the equanimity, how to keep your mind constant and not wrestle under pressure. If you achieve equanimity of your mind, it's only workload, there's no pressure. You are taking all your decisions with a calm mind. Even if there's too much workload, there won't be any errors. Only it will take more time. But if you are bogged down under pressure, you will lose equanimity. You will end up making mistakes. It's neither good for your organization nor good for your health. Next slide. Regular routine to enhance mindset. There are several tools, there are several ways and methods which you can regularly practice in your workplace, in your private life to enhance the positive thinking of your subconscious mind. I have just highlighted a few important ones for an organization. On a daily basis, set yourself a goal. These are very tiny goals because your mind should be made to believe and experience the achievement of even smaller goals. Even if it's a micro goal, no problem. But once that becomes a habit for your mind, that becomes a regular experience for your mind, especially the subconscious mind, your mind becomes more confident, which gets reflected in your own work. Your self-belief improves tremendously, and you're willing to take all kind of risks. You won't become risk averse. try to learn something new on a regular basis. So like I am out of practice now for almost 34 years. Out of practice means I am not a practicing chartered accountant. But in the last 34 years, even though when I was a bureaucrat in the indirect taxes, I have never left reading the tax journals. I have never left reading the the amendments, the changes, regular changes that come, and I'm up to date. That's one learning I keep myself abreast. And being a part of indirect taxes department for 10 years, I have done the same with the indirect taxes. So even though I am not a practicing chartered accountant, but to help me in taking right decisions in my own businesses and to be totally tax compliant, be it direct taxes or indirect taxes, I find it very helpful. I have cultivated this reading habit. Keep adding incrementally to self-improvement, be it in work, be it in hobbies, or be it in any area of your interest. Keep improving yourself. Over the years, I have learned several sports which were completely new to me. I have learned to play badminton for mental alertness and fitness. I have learned to play golf, which I play regularly, for getting fresh air, walking exercise, sharp understanding of the way the ball behaves when you hit it. Because golf is a very interesting game. Your mind becomes very, very active. Your mind calculates the distance where you want to go. It analyzes the wind, the direction of the wind speed, the force at which you should hit the ball, the club you should use. Everything gets analyzed in a fraction of a minute or less than that. And that's how your golf game improves. A sport is not only good for fitness, but it makes your mind sharper. Or any other self-improvement habits you can inculcate. Some play games. Games improve your response time. You are able to respond very fast. Your decision making improves. Your decision making is very fast. So on and so forth. Or maybe in any area, maybe in singing, maybe in dancing, you choose, keep improving. It will inculcate a habit of even improving in your workplace. You will be interested in bringing more and more systems in place, more and more SOPs in place. It's not only adding more value to oneself, but how do you translate to the value creation to your organization, to your customers, your clients, the society, the world at large? How do you translate what you have learned, what we call experience, over a period of time to the rest of the people whom you interact with? Broad summary. So for an hour or so, I've spoken about the complexities of mind, the complexities of emotions, the interplay, teamwork, decision making, negativities, how to do self-improvement. how to convert thought process into action. So all this is summarized here. Letting go of what is limiting your upward graph. We have a lot of limitations in our mind. Limitations don't come otherwise, considering ability being a constant factor. We are all able, we are all chartered accountants, we are all qualified. Some may have more degrees. But unless and until you learn the ability of letting go of what is limiting your upward graph, there will be a differentiator in the growth of two equally capable human beings or two equally capable organizations, working on what will lift one higher professionally. Continuously keep working on that. As even my previous speaker mentioned, how to bring value addition, how to create value, not only to your organization, but to your clients. Cultivate positive emotions and delete negative emotions. This is an ongoing process, it's a constant process, it's a daily process. There is no end to this. You have to keep doing it till the time you are in workplace. To bridge the gap between conscious and subconscious mind. When we say bridging the mindset gap, is nothing but bridging the gap between the conscious and subconscious mind. Once we learn these techniques by day-to-day practice, by day-to-day being aware, your growth is assured. You will make lesser and lesser mistakes. You will be ready to take more and more risks, and you will be looking at challenges, not as challenges, but as opportunities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful session. I would request if you can, yeah. So we have two questions across with us. So one, I would request Umesh sir to take this one. As a professional person, how far a chartered accountant as an advisor to the management can compromise with his professional ethics?
Very good question. I think in terms of how far can you go to compromise, I would say we need to have, at least based on my experience, zero tolerance when it comes to ethics, because that is the basic foundation of our existence. If we are the front runners in terms of let's take a quick example. Let's say you're certifying the accounts of a listed company, and there is an expectation from the investors, the regulators, and everybody on you, and the compromise question doesn't even arise, because your responsibility is not just for the company, it is for the entire ecosystem around you. So my view is zero tolerance on that front.
DB Mehta sir, anything to add?
See, ethics, as Mr. Umesh said, zero tolerance, but I would like to add one more thing to the ethics. Ethics can be considered outside the legal framework as a subjective concept. What I may be doing may seem to me ethical, but to somebody else may seem to be unethical. I'll give an example in our construction industry. We look at the stability of the building, life of the building, based on the structural reinforcement that is planned by the structural engineers. Now, various methods are available to bring the steel consumption down based on various audits by different softwares which are carried out. Now, the structural engineers put variables into the software. Now, if I look at one particular region where I feel that the wind speeds will not be more than 40 kilometers per hour, which is the data available with me, and I design for it, it's ethical. But I would go one step ahead because of the changing global environment and global warming. We are seeing a lot of cyclones and typhoons and all kind of activities happening in places where it has not happened for the last 100 years. So what happens to my high-rise building if I have designed it for 40-50 kilometers speed, and if I get a wind speed of 90 or 100 kilometers? My glasses will shatter. My building may feel an experience of swaying in that. It may not collapse, but it will feel that experience of swaying. It may develop cracks on the walls. So being ethical, I would design it for the worst case scenario, not for the optimum case scenario.
All right, sir. So next one is yours, Mehta sir. In your experience across government service, entrepreneurship, and board roles, how does attitude influence leadership effectiveness and long-term professional credibility?
See, it's a long question because you
Yes.
covered three career spans of mine.
Yes.
Now, when I was in the government service, I saw this kind of a play mix with bureaucrats, where some saw, power as an invisible thing, and some saw power as a visible thing, power of a bureaucrat. I always believed power is invisible till it's misused. When power is misused, it becomes visible. I have had so many clients, SSEs, coming to me, and they have got what they were deserved to get under the law, whatever reliefs, whatever approvals, whatever processes. And they never felt the bureaucrat was powerful because their work was done, legitimately done. But many SSEs would complain about other officers who would just, for sake of showing power, would create a lot of obstacles, delay in approvals, or seeking. There are a lot of rent seeking happening in bureaucracy. We are well aware of it. For rent seeking, also a lot of obstacles are created. So there the power is visible when it is misused. Similarly, when I am in practice, I was practicing with a firm called Bansi Mehta. It was a very well-known firm for taxation and corporate law based out of Mumbai. And Bansi Mehta had a very simple policy in his office. If any client even wants you to settle the matter through other sources and means with the officers, it's just not allowed. It's just not a done thing. But today, unfortunately, in profession, even in our chartered accountancy profession, this is one of the weakness in the system where a client wants solution to his problem at any cost. And he is willing to do, and some chartered accountants permit that. So that should not be allowed at any cost. If you are liable to pay, you are liable to pay. The law demands you to pay, you should pay. And as a business, there are huge responsibilities. You have responsibilities to the clients, customers, you have the responsibility to the society. So as a developer, I have the responsibility to not only the neighborhood where I am developing a building. How do I construct with the least cost to the environment? How do I construct with the least cost to the natural resources? How do I construct with the least disturbance to the people staying around my project? It may entail a lot of cost to me. I may see it necessary. Someone else may not see it at all necessary. So it's a perspective of yours. If you believe you're part of a society and you want to do things properly, it will happen.
All right, sir. So as we approach to the conclusion of today's enriching webinar, we are reminded of one powerful truth. Skill may start a career, but mindset and attitude define its trajectory. So I would also share with our participants that on 26th and the next 26th January and on 2nd February, we won't be able to conducting these webinars because on 26th it is a national holiday, and on 2nd February we are having a World Forum of Accountants. So just wanted to share that, and we request for the feedback of our members, wherein you can click on your viewers link for a feedback. That would be a very important. That is very important for us. So, on behalf of the Committee for Members in Practice, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to our respected leadership for their vision and guidance. CA Umesh NV sir for redefining the CA's role as a trusted advisor, and CA DB Mehta sir for reinforcing the power of attitude in achieving the professional excellence. So we also thank all the members who have joined us today and make this session interactive and meaningful. We hope today's discussion inspire you to rethink, reorient, and reinvent your professional journey. Thank you once again. Wishing you a continued success, learning, and professional fulfillment. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, DV Mehta, sir. Thank you, Umesh, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Yeah.